How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to Gard-N Scale Crucible. Today, got a special video for you. Not so much an unboxing of the new F7A+B unit from USA Trains, but a little something extra that you're going to want to take note of. Stay tuned. So the first thing to note here is that when you open one side of the box, you've got your destruction manual, your handy warranty card. They're looking proper, but it is not a universal tray for the A and B sets. They are two separate styrofoam clamshells, and you've got your parts bags here and there. On the inside, you've got your truck frames and your smokestacks available in a gray plastic, as well as what appears to be a chromed plastic, which looks very sharp, very nice. And then you have the units themselves, which are going to come out next. All right, we got the clamshells out of the box. These were snug in there, so the best way to get them out is to open up both sides of the main box and then push them out. This is the A unit. Oh, that is beautiful. If you watch my videos in N scale, you know I have these from Kato in N scale, and they are so much fun. This is a beautiful locomotive. And now we get the B unit. Equally beautiful. Now, one thing USA Trains did with the AB units for their Black Widow is these are numerically matched. You've got a 6158, 6158B. These are also available in 6157 as the alternate number if you want to do an ABBA setup. Now we'll get these out of the wrap and show you what we got to work with. All right, we've got them unpackaged here. Take you on a bit of a tour of the USA Trains F7A+B unit. First thing to notice is just like the actual units, the actual monsters, two front headlights. We will definitely verify that they work. You've got number boards in the nose as well. These do come with an just a dummy pilot coupler. This can be removed and replaced with a functional knuckle coupler if you so desire. There's instructions for it, along with the spare components you need to actually replace this with a functioning coupler if you want to do ABBA, or you want to have it reversed for another engine, or however you want to do it. There is a lot of flexibility. The detail through these locomotives, the locomotive and the B unit, is superb. A lot of really nice, crisp details. You've got the radio-equipped logo there. You've got the General Motors Locomotives logo right there. That is just so crisply done. Let me just make sure it stays clear. The truck detail is fantastic. Covering up these screw holes on the side of the truck frames, there are steps you're going to put on. I should know the name by now, but these parts here will cover those screw holes, and we'll put those on here in a little bit. Just take you on a tour of the crisp graphics. Good painting. You've got your fuel decal or fuel tank details there. You've got the prototypically correct air brake cylinders. You've got the F7 angled rear roof. All 5 of these roof vents, they do spin. Yeah, that was kind of poor, but still you get the idea. 2 air horns in the front. You do have an engineer and a conductor in the cab. You'll see those lit up a bit later on. And then on the back, there is a functioning backup light right here. We left the foam in on the diaphragm for the time being. I'll take that out later on, just showing you the locomotive for the time being. Of course, you got the traditional USA Trains hook and loop coupler that comes pre-installed. We're going to replace that with the provided knuckle coupler here in a few minutes. Other details to look at. These grills are metal, and they are also very soft, so be careful when you're handling these units that you're not trying to put use them as grip points, because you may end up crying if you do it the wrong way. I didn't realize that these were metal, or I had forgotten it, and I almost popped one of these out, it felt like. I'll show you that here in a moment. Let's take you on a tour of the B unit, which also has, move the locomotive out of the way here real quick. It does have the General Motors logo on it, the exact same trucks and motors, hook and loop couple on the front, but these are easy to tell. At another way to tell which way is front, which way is back. No reverse light on the front face of the B unit. That's on the back, and of course also the vents. Front, one vent to the front, 4 trailing vents to the rear, and then of course on the back there is the reverse light. All right, I'm going to show you putting on some of the detail parts here. First up, this is the chromed smokestack piece, and these just press in. If you have USA Trains locomotives, you know how this works. Delicately just stick those on in there. I'm opting for the chrome because it looks shinier and prettier. I may never ever run smoke out of these locomotives, but I like the look of this lower profile chrome smokestack. It just feels sharper. Plus, it'll match up nicer with the metal grill. So that's why I do that. All right, now I'm going to talk you through your truck detail components. First of all, these are the stirrups that will go 2 pair, well 1 pair per truck. You'll get 4 for the locomotive and of course 4 for the B unit. And these will press into there. Now you can easily, well sort of easily, just kind of work this through in the gap there, and then you can press it into place. But what you can also do, and this will become important later, is this ladder, very carefully, you can just pull it out. It is a pinch piece, so you can just give it a light little squeeze and gently ease it out of position. And now you have full access to this whole side frame of your truck, which is about to become crucial, and I will explain that next. All right, what are we looking at here, YouTube? If you know your stuff on trains, you know that these are the air brake cylinders for the F7. Why are these different? Well, I'll tell you. This piece is the prototypically correct air brake cylinder that comes on these locomotives by default. This piece is the replacement option that is offered by Charles Rowe. How do I know this? Well, there's a little packet that came with the instructions that had 8 of these pieces in there, 4 per truck, but also I had the good fortune to likewise just go a little bit insane and also order a New York Central of the F7 to run with my New York Central streamlined passenger cars and have a uniform train. And so this piece is actually off my New York Central F7 that I'm saving for a rainy day in case I need it in the future. Why has this been taken off? I will now show you. This is the little piece of paper that comes with it, with unfortunately some not ultra great instructions. Had to figure this out kind of myself. But anyway, these prototypically accurate air brake cylinder chambers will not allow for proper truck swivel and pivot on track diameters under 10 feet. So if you want to run these locomotives on 8-foot or 5-foot, because they are 5-foot compatible per Charles Rowe and USA Trains, you are going to have to pull these off and replace them with these pieces that will enable your truck to pivot properly. This is a little jammed up because I have it on some foam here, but still to allow you to pivot enough to get proper clearance of these ladder pieces when you're operating normally. Otherwise, if you're on the track diameter too tight and you don't swap out these cylinders, the cylinder, as the truck pivots, will come back. It will catch on this, and you could either break it or it might cause your locomotive to derail if there's enough pressure and the ladder just doesn't give way. So that is why Charles Rowe sent me 3 packs of these, one for each of my units. The F7A+B set got a packet each, and then my New York Central F7 got a packet. So very important parts for you to be aware of. Again, if you're running this at 10 feet diameter track or larger, the prototypically correct air brake cylinders do not need to be replaced. If you're running under 10 feet, you need to make this swap. We tested the F7 New York Central on an 8-foot circle, and we did find that, yes, it is confirmed, these cylinders, these armatures, they will press on the ladder and it will create pressure, and it is a risk of either damaging the components like the ladder itself, or in an extreme case could cause a derailment. So that's why we're doing that. How do you replace them? I will tell you. You see this notch right here? This presses on to a tab right here, right above the springs on the axle. So what you're going to end up doing is, there's nothing here that is glued, attached, or anything. This is literally, this armature just slides into that slot and it doesn't link onto anything. The main point of connection is right here behind the cylinder on the prototypical part. On the replacement part, it is double slotted. They kept the same molding for the air brake cylinder. What they did is they cut an extra notch for the replacement part, and this second notch along the back of the cylinder is what you will stick onto the truck, and then this tab will slot in here into the tab slot there on the truck frame. You can kind of barely see it. My lighting is very poor. I'm sorry about that. And then you just will press it on. You'll pull this off. You press this on. Bada bing, bada boom, and now you can swing your trucks. We're going to do that next. All right, so I haven't yet replaced this. I want to talk to you about why it's important to replace the rear brake cylinder components. Now, you can replace all 4 on each truck if you want to have them to be uniformly correct, but if you only want to mess with 4 on each unit as opposed to 8, you really only need to replace the rear ones, because that is where you're going to get the most tension interaction. You see I'm slamming into my ladder pretty hard here to demonstrate why you've got to swap it out, because this is going to create an issue with navigating your radii. But yeah, now I'll take this back off and I will show you how to get this off, which requires, unfortunately, 2 hands. All right, so there is the tab and the slot. You can see this is where the air brake cylinder will now reattach. This is the replacement part. It's upside down. When it's right side up, you will have a flat bottom. This will have a notch on the top so you know which is which. And then you're gonna aim for the second slot onto this tab. And that, if I do this properly, and maybe even possibly one-handed, let's see if I'm that special, will slot on like so. And because you do need 2 hands to make sure the part fits down there properly, I'm gonna cut and do that. Okay, now you can see the difference between the replacement part and the prototypically correct part on this truck. And I haven't put the ladder back on yet. But for those of you who want to maintain uniformity, you just pull this part off, replace it with the appropriate component, because they are formatted for front and rear, and they will face up the proper direction. But if you're like me and this part doesn't bother you, you're the only one who's going to know, unless someone's really watching your YouTube videos, there's going to be critiquing your presentation in some Gard-N scale club somewhere. If you don't care that this is notched and this is not, you can just leave the front truck as it is. But if you do care, again, yank that off, put the new one on, good to go. But this notched segment here is going to enable you to make sure that when you put your ladder back on, like so, now you've got the clearance you need to get down to 8 foot for sure. Now, if you're going to go down to 5 foot diameter, that's when you're probably going to need to do all 8 brake cylinders on your A set and probably your B set as well. If you're on 8-foot diameter, we have tested this, my friend and I, you do not need to replace your front truck, I'm sorry, your leading truck on either A or B units because of the way these ladders are situated. So on the A unit, I will not have to replace the leading truck air brake cylinders. I will only need to replace the trailing truck air brake cylinders. Now on the B unit, since these bottoms essentially should be the exact same, I should only have to replace just the trailing truck there. You can see the gap there. It means definitely we'll need to replace that one. This one, however, the ladder isn't a different spot, it seems, so you have to replace the front, the leading truck air brake cylinders on the B unit. So I'll go through that in a little bit here as well. All right, looking at the rear of the A unit, the coupler's been replaced with the knuckle. This actually will attach to a mounting plate, which is attached to this coupler bracket here. Really easy to do. All you do is just you remove the hook and loop with the handy little screw that was there, put that aside, attach the new coupler, good to go, done deal, nice and easy. One thing to watch out for is that the brake release might give you some guff there. It will kind of rub against the top of the coupler, but once this is actually closed and latched, it should swing freely. You should have no problem, but it is something to watch out for and be aware of. And also, for the love of God, do not trim this little stake here, because that is your return to center stake, and you want to keep that because it'll swing this plate back center and keep it where it needs to be when the locomotive is sitting still. Otherwise, this will just be flopping around like nobody's business. All right, just to recap before I get too carried away with the B unit here, it's the front truck that you've got to replace the air brake cylinders on, because this will impact the ladder. So I'm going to show you that. Next is, again, you will need 2 hands. I even trying to get the ladder off. You will need, well, maybe just my right hand. A little better. 2-hand job, you need it, but again, don't forget your stirrups. There's my hand, there we go. All right, just about finished with the B unit now. Did the coupler install. While I have it upside down, I can show you the coupler swing, or the truck swing, and the clearance on either side for the trailing truck, why you need to make that air brake chamber exchange. And yes, from this angle, you can see more clearly how the replacement part differs from the prototypical part. But again, unless you are really concerned about having uniformity front and rear, you don't need to change the non-threatened or non-problematic air brake chamber. If you want to, of course, they give you 8. They'll fit properly. But if you don't care, you don't want to deal with the hassle, you can leave them as is. I probably will leave them as is because I'm not overly concerned with it. If I get bored, maybe I'll switch them out, but for right now, it is good enough. The next phase, it's time to test.